You got to be willing to invest in other people's cultures. Because at the end of the day, I don't give what color you are. Everybody got something to bring to the table. And life is short, man. You don't know what you might be missing. Why deprive yourself of a great human experience because you're mad? It's ridiculous. That's why I appreciate a good culture. I appreciate a good accent.
My name is Frankie Suknanan. I grew up in Suriname, which most people don't know about. It's a small country in South America, right above Brazil. We moved to the United States when I was 11. I came here, I will say it, backtrack. Meaning illegally, but now I'm legal. Thank you.
My name is Roberto Sanabuya. My major is a theater at the New School University, Eugene Lane College, and I also act in my free time too. I'm in the Liberal Arts College, and the theater department is not too diverse. Surprisingly enough, I would say that my friends, they all live in different boroughs because I didn't really go to school in my neighborhood where I live. So I have like a good, nice mix of people.
Grew up in the Bronx. Soundview was really tough. There's a lot of crime, a lot of gang violence, a lot of single parents, a lot of children outside in the streets without much guidance. It's a pretty poor neighborhood. I taught 5th grade for 2 years. When you're young, adults set the standard for you. I think that when you're young, you genuinely believe that you can be anything, regardless of the color of your skin. When adults intervene and they start imposing these standards, I think that it has an absolute horrible impact on those kids. I would like to be a special education attorney, so advocating for students with special needs in the public education setting.
I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and we had a melting pot. People from Italy, Russia, the Caribbean, American, people from all over the world. Early 60s is when we had the uprising of the African American, or what we used to call ourselves Black Americans at the time. That was an empowering time for us.
My mom came from Greece and my dad came from Romania. My parents are immigrants, but my dad knows like a lot of people. So I knew kids that were like Polish, Greek, Italian. I am a New York City high school science teacher. When I'm first placed in a classroom, these kids are looking at me and they're like, oh, well, she's white. She has no idea about anything that I've ever experienced. And come to find out that when I share some of my experiences growing up, that we do have some things in common, and that way these kids can relate to me.
I think a stereotype is more like, oh, he's black, he wants some watermelon or some chicken wings.
The idea of my parents coming from the West Indies, that they came on a boat.
For the simple fact that I'm white, that I have done cocaine at some point in my life.
Even if it's a positive or a negative thing, I don't really like them because that's like putting someone in a box, you know? The media has wields a lot of power, and depending on the kind of household you're in, you're either going to be inundated with the TV or the computers, or maybe not.
I kind of blame the media for what's going on wrong in the world right now, because they kind of just perpetuate stereotypes about people. They don't tell you that's what they're doing. They don't go, hey, this is what you need to think. But they know how people's brains work. What they do, they enforce all this shit, you know? What they do is they'll show you an image of somebody, and then they'll show you an alternate image, like right away, of something completely different. They don't say the two images are together. They kind of present it like, what do you think? Like what they do is they'll show you like an Asian guy, and then a car accident.
There's a lot of artists today that make our people look bad, and that's just based on what they say and how they act.
Soon. I gotta get drunk before the day begins, before my mother starts bitching about my friends.
Same thing with hood movies. Even though I don't like to call them that, but hood movies. You could take something like Boys in the Hood. You could take, South Central, or anything of that. They like to depict blacks based on where they come from. If you take a Southern black, oh, their country, they walk up and down and sing songs and pick cotton and all the other stuff. Blackface, eat watermelon, chuck and jive.
They come from something, obviously. They come from some person's idea of a group of people.
So racial ideology, we look at the 18th century, where Carolus Linnaeus, who is Swedish, in fact, he's a scientist. He sets up this system called taxonomy. Taxonomy is the way to classify anything from plants. And in fact, he starts classifying plants. And then he figures, why can't I classify human beings in the same way? So at his hierarchy, he has Native Americans, who he says are red. Okay? And instead of just saying simply they're red, he attaches a value system. And he says those who are red, they anger easily. So the next color on the hierarchy was yellow. And this was used to identify people who were Asian. And Linnaeus said those who are yellow, he says they're avaricious. Avaricious means to be financially greedy. It means you're someone who can't be trusted. And then when the color black was reserved for Africans, and the color black for Africans meant that they were negligent and indolent. Indolent means lazy. The last color is the color white, and Linnaeus said those who are white are gentle, and so the racial ideology allows for, after Columbus, in the 1600s when the British settlers come, they've got this ideology, and the group who has the more positive characteristics are white people. If you think about slavery and colonization, especially when it comes taking slaves from Africa to America and other parts of the world, we would say those people were not gentle. Slavery, certainly was quite brutal. So even today, we still see remnants of these stereotypes.
Prejudice is taking stereotype to a different level and actually hating.
I could have been about 8 years old. I went to Fresh Air Fund. Fresh Air Fund is a program that was sponsored for low-income families in the New York City areas. And the host family was Caucasian. And I went outside with their children to play. One of the kids came to me and started rubbing my hand. And I says, "Why are you doing that?" And she says, "Well, I want to see if it's going to come off. It's like it's dirty or something." She wanted to see if the dirt was going to come off because she had never in her life seen a Negro before. And so that night, I was in the tub and I was scrubbing myself and I was crying, and one of the host parents asked what was the matter, and I says, "Oh, I'm dirty. I have to get the black off of me." And that was the first time I realized that I was being discriminated against.
Thankfully, my generation, this day and age, I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to really face that kind of animosity, that other people have in the past I've had to face.
Wow, nothing like I expected. You didn't tell me he was black.
You can't marry a black guy. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
And I told her, I says, he's fine to be a friend. You are never going to get involved against. She says, "No, I'm not. It's just my friend." And they were just friends. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would say the reason why people cut themselves off or like segregate themselves from other groups is probably because of comfort zone choice. What if they reject me? What if they don't like me?
When people make comments about other groups of people, I think it's
am I wrong to think this?
them being ignorant, it's being closed-minded. Nobody should make generalizations or is in the position to judge any person or a group of people.
Black people and white people, no. I'm sorry. Education. They said we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, oh, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics.
Before the middle of the 19th century, there were no systems of public education. And many people objected to it. They said it's not possible for many street kids, working class children, to benefit from public education. They're incapable of learning to read and write, and why are we spending time on this?
If you have administrators and teachers who don't come from the same background as students, then they're creating these policies and creating these standards without that cultural competency in mind.
Some of the biggest challenges working in this neighborhood is a lot of these children are coming from homes that they already have adult responsibilities at the age of 13, 14. There are parents that are working round the clock just to pay rent. There are essentially attendance issues. There's language barriers. So that all culminates into a difficult task.
I just feel like it's also about what people feel like is in their locus of control. People should take the time to go in and understand all the background information, but then an easy response to that would be, well, that's not like what I'm here for. They meet the standard, or they don't meet the standard. So that in turn will help perpetuate stereotypes.
As a teacher, it's very difficult to look past the statistics. If you think about it, you have 5 classes times 30 in the class. That's a whole lot of numbers, which could lead to a whole lot of discouragement.
I think that data could have an adverse effect on perceptions, but I think that data is also, it's the most objective, concrete thing that we have in order to progress and move forward. It's the foundation.
Personally, I think you can see a difference in the dynamic of a classroom if kids can relate to those people around them.
If you knew things just beyond the numbers and you really went down to like delve deep into, okay, yeah, this child is on reading level A, but it's because he can't read, he can't do his homework at night because his mom doesn't have lights. You know, that's different than just saying, okay, this child is on A. Like, you need to know you can move that child to the next level if you're giving them extra instruction in class, helping them with their homework after school. It's like, it's not so objective and black and white. That's one of the great difficulties of coming up with policies that actually, you know, serve the purpose that they're intended to serve, is that it's all the background stuff. I'm from the Bronx. I taught kids from the Bronx. I thought I had everything pegged down. I could have went straight from Penn State into law school saying I want to be an education attorney, and I too would have even been at a disadvantage in making policies. I think it was really important for me to immerse myself, you know, in that population and understand exactly what those kids were going through on a daily basis and what the parents are going through, and even the needs of the teachers so that they could best address the children's needs. There's only so much you can get from a textbook. There's only so much you can get from CNN. Like, you have to live it.
And this is deep in the gene pool of public education, that there are really 2 types of people, academic and non-academic, smart people and non-smart people. And the consequence of that is that many brilliant people think they're not.
Time is critical. If we just take this country, we've had 400 years of a racial hierarchy. It's only the last 52 years where you've seen this amazing progress. In the last years that you've had the civil rights movement in 1964, and even, you know, certainly, which you could argue eventually produces the first biracial president. But it doesn't mean that there's equality for all racial or ethnic minorities.